An off-the-street signing for the Philadelphia Eagles. This would be very interesting if they feel like they can't get a pass rush by the time Bryce Huff returns. We're going to talk about it, and we're going to be talking about one of the biggest closers to this Eagles defense that I really haven't been on board with as much the last few years. But, man, he's played really well, and good for him. Let's get into it.
A killer buried, but not dead.
Darren, we better turn around. Because I've seen enough horror movies to know any weirdo wearing a mask is never friendly.
Look at these results. People are making free money. They're making thousands every month betting on sports completely risk-free. The secret, they're using OddsJam. OddsJam isn't just another betting app. It's turned the entire system in your favor. Here's how. OddsJam uses a strategy called arbitrage, finding odds differences across sports books. You bet both sides, and no matter the outcome, you will profit. Here's an example. If you put $500 on Boise State to win on FanDuel and $335 on their opponent, San Francisco, on DraftKings, you'll guaranteed to make $50, win or lose. It's that simple. With the OddsJam mobile app, you'll get real-time alerts on these opportunities every day. People are making thousands monthly. And to get you started, use code Joey for 35% off and a 7-day free trial. I guarantee you'll profit during the trial, and if you don't, cancel with one click. No questions asked. Don't leave money on the table. Go to oddsjam.com, use code Joey, and start making money the smart way. All right, so we know the trade deadline is over for the Philadelphia Eagles. The Eagles can't trade for anybody. Now, reports have come out. These aren't official. Take everything with a grain of salt. But Sports Illustrated came out with an article that I thought was interesting. We've always talked about who can the Eagles sign off the street if they're available, if they want to take a chance on somebody off the street cheap and just could fill in. Obviously, Bryce Huff is going to be out with an injury. He's going to have a minor surgery to his wrist. He will most likely be put on IR. He will most likely miss probably the rest of the regular season. He'll probably make the second to last game. Maybe he'll make the last game of the season, and then hopefully while the Eagles having the first seed and that get an extra week of rest, he'll be ready and prepared to go. Okay, we know that Jalix Hunt is getting more snaps. We know he's not there yet. We haven't seen much, but he's starting to get double his snaps than what he was getting beforehand. But this is a different situation now. Okay, Sports Illustrated came out with a report saying the Eagles could sign an ex-first-round pick edge rusher that is available right now. And obviously his name is Shaq Lawson. He is still out there. I honestly kind of went through the list. There's really not a lot of off-the-street available players that would probably help. And usually these players, are they going to help tremendously? No. Shaq Lawson, former first-round pick 9 years ago. His sack numbers in 23, he had one sack in 23, three and a half sacks in 22, one sack in 21. He's been mostly a role player since he's been drafted. Hasn't really lived up to the hype. Okay, I think he went to Clemson. This isn't a bona fide changing type move for the Eagles. But if the Eagles play, say they play next game, they play, they play against the Rams, they play against Baltimore, they play, and they feel like the pass rush is not getting there, or maybe they feel like maybe Jalix Hunt is just not there yet. Maybe it doesn't, maybe in a few games, Jalix Hunt isn't really producing. I don't know. Everyone is going to get more snaps now because of Bryce Huff not being in this rotation. This isn't a game-changing move to get an off-the-street player. Just like when we signed Adamakin Suh that year and the other two veteran defensive tackles we signed that year, and it did help. It did help tremendously because we had some injuries and we need to beef up that defensive line a little bit more. And I have the respect of Howie Roseman. I have the respect of Vic Fangio. That Fangio, I think, changed Howie Roseman's mind that he wants to just produce players. That's why the trade deadline was very, very quiet, because to give up high draft capital for just a year, to rent a guy out for the year, it's just not worth it. Let the young guys play. Let them develop. So this is just to see what's out there. This isn't a move I think they will make. I think if it was really up to them, they won't touch this unless they're just not getting enough pressure on quarterbacks the rest of the, 7 games that we have so far as of right now. Adding a Shaq Lawson would only mean that they're not getting enough out of Jalen Hunt. You're hoping Nolan Smith is going to start to catch his stride, because he is starting to catch his stride right now. Brandon Graham's doing good on the rotation. Josh Sweat's probably the best besides Jalen Carter. And because of the sack numbers, he's become the better defensive lineman as of right now. But we know Jalen Carter's better. But we're saying as statistically, because he's getting those sack numbers on the edge, fantastic player. So you're just looking for a little bit more. If the Eagles feel like in a few weeks they need a little bit more, they could make a signing like this and just see what happens. Bryce Huff is not on IR yet. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with that. Because I know Britton Covey's coming back in another week or two. So that's going to be really exciting to see where they're going to put him, whether it's special teams, whether it's other things. They get him involved in this offense like they did early in the season. That would be cool. But, I think this is the much more balanced defense that we've ever had between our defensive line and, between our coverage as well, and our, run support and blitzing, and just the athleticism of all these guys, from the linebackers to the corners to the safeties, just playing so well. And if it was really up to me, guys, I probably wouldn't touch this at all. I don't think you make a move here. I feel like with Vic Fangio around, he doesn't want to. Maybe he would make a move like this, but he doesn't want to make an expensive move. That's why, like I said, the trade deadline was a dead area for the Eagles, because I think Howie changed his ways. I think Fangio got Howie to change his ways when it came to, obviously, the defense, because obviously they traded for Jahan Dotson for a 3rd and a 7th. It hasn't really worked out. The trade looks worse than worse it could be. So I think going for a move like this, where it's a 1-year deal, you bring him in, he's dirt cheap, and it's not going to give you any promise. But you say to yourself, if he doesn't do anything in a couple games, you let Shaq Lawson go. Boom, you don't really lose much out of it. So you can bring him in and say, hey, we're going to see what you do for the first couple games. If we feel like you're not doing enough, we're going to cut you, and then that's it. You know what I mean? So Shaq Lawson looking for a job, maybe. We'll see. Look, I am really against this. I really just want them to play Jalen Hunt and just wait till Bryce Huff comes back. I want to get these young. I don't want another, veteran guy coming in here, taking more snaps away from the young guys. Put more snaps on the younger guys. That's perfectly fine. With Jalen Hunt in the mix now, and really he has to be involved. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's going to be a really good thing in that rotation going forward. And, this could be a possible matchup later on if they feel like they need to sign somebody. Obviously, you're hoping that everybody stays healthy. Otherwise, if you start getting injuries, then you might have to go down this route later on in season. You can only sign guys off waivers, and you can only sign guys off the street pretty much. Can't trade for anybody, can't do any of that. Way past that point now. Let me know your guys' thoughts on Shaq Lawson in general. And do you think they keep what they have, or do you think they go for an off-the-street type signing later on if they're not producing enough? And I think they are producing pretty well right now. So, this was just kind of rumbling around a little bit in the news. And it's interesting to see who's available on the street right now that the Eagles might have interest in, but nothing promising as for this minute. I really want to talk about the biggest closer to our defense, and it's Reed Blankenship. From a guy, this was a couple years ago. Chauncey Gardner-Johnson gets hurt with the Philadelphia Eagles in the Green Bay game. Reed Blankenship comes in, gets a pick off Aaron Rodgers, and giving him that opportunity really just changed everything. The more he played, the better he got. The better coaching behind him. Damn, what a player he is. And trust me, I was one of those guys in the offseason that really wasn't a big fan of him really starting. Maybe somebody could have took his job, whether it was Sidney Brown coming back from injury. We know he was hurt, so that's going to be interesting later on in the coming years and what happens with Sidney Brown. But I always question Reed's coverage, and you know what? He's looked really good. He's looked fantastic. I eat my words on this too, in a lot of ways. Sidney Brown is going to be an interesting one for us because he's kind of sitting in the background right now. He's back from injury. He's played a few games already. He's been playing special teams, and he's been a big big contributor on special teams, but the future at safety is going to be interesting. And where Sidney Brown's future is going to be, whether it's at corner, do they cross-train him to nickel? Because nickel is very naked right now. DeJean gets hurt, knock on wood. You pretty much have nothing. I mean, you're pretty much going to be panicking at that point because Avonte Maddox is a huge liability for this defense. So if anything happens to DeJean, forget about it. You're pretty much real naked at that position, and you're going to be in big trouble. So you're hoping that with Sidney Brown, he is an outside corner / safety. I think he's better at safety, but putting him at that nickel spot, cross-training him there wouldn't be a bad thing. They won't do it this year. I think maybe next offseason will be a next offseason type of thing. But Reed Blankenship, he is on contract. The Eagles did extend him another year, so he is with the Philadelphia Eagles throughout the 2025 season. They signed him early. They extended his contract early, paying absolutely nothing. I forgot what it was, but I know the numbers were really low. Nothing comparable. You know what I mean? So for a guy that's playing at a top talent at safety right now, it's a good price, and you have him for a whole nother year. Okay. So everybody's loving Reed and DeJean, and just like everybody's loving that little group of guys and how they celebrate and like all the great things that come into it with that. So Reed Blankenship, yes, I think when you need him, he shows up, whether it's a deflection. He's got a few picks for the season already, always gets a pick when we need it the most. And that makes him, for me, one of the biggest closers. And one of our biggest closers is not on the defensive line. It's a safety, which is great. It's great to have that type of player here. And he's done a fantastic job. Let me know what you guys think about Reed Blankenship, what he's done so far, and his future with the Philadelphia Eagles, and how much more can he do. Man, it's a fantastic player here. So going to be really interesting. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. So I really wanted to talk about today. Let me know what you guys think on the whole situation with Shaq Lawson. Would you get an off the street type of guy later on? Bryce Huff won't be in. So because Bryce Huff isn't playing well, he was still getting some pressures and still doing things. Will it affect this defensive line? We're going to find out in that rotation. Jalix Hunt and seeing what these other guys could do with more reps, more rotation, since you have one guy out of the fold now, so it's going to be, a lot more for these other guys. I don't see them signing much of anything else that's out there, but, we'll see what happens down the road. Things happen, injuries happen, or, maybe the defensive line doesn't play as good down the line. Who knows, but I'm just spitting different things left and right to get our brains going to see if they would actually make a move like this. And do they feel comfortable with what they have minus Bryce Huff right now? That's the question. And I would have to say that I think they think they're pretty good. And I think they're pretty good as well. I don't think there's really anything much to worry about there. But other than that, guys, that's pretty much it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Eagles news every single day. Make sure you like the video. Helps out the channel out tremendously. And, appreciate all the support, everybody. You guys have a fantastic day. I'll see you guys on the next one. Shakes what up, follow slide. Peace out, guys. Peace.